Hello guys, what's going on? Today I want to talk about a quite unusual topic on my channel. I want to talk about something political. I want to share my thoughts on the Occupy Central movement that is happening right now in Hong Kong. Simply because I saw these videos on the internet. As you know, I'm quite a big fan of Asian culture, China, Japan. I'm really fascinated by this, and I thought it was so due for China to have some kind of movement going on, that something is happening on the streets of China. So I really want to give these people a bit more exposure and just share my thoughts on it, and maybe you can share your thoughts as well. That would be really appreciated. So what is Occupy Central? Basically, it's a bunch of students, several thousand students, mostly young people, but also older people, going on the street and demanding democratic elections 2017 for Hong Kong. The way it worked before was basically that the Chinese government sitting in Beijing gives you 2 or 3 candidates you can choose from, and they obviously make sure that these candidates are very much aligned with the Chinese government, with the Communist Party. So it doesn't really matter whether you choose candidate A, B or C, it's going to be the same result, because these guys are all pulling on one string, and they basically going to make sure that they maintain their power, that they maintain their influence. I think what's happening right now in Hong Kong, it's actually the perfect place for it to happen. Due to its special administrative region status, which Hong Kong basically is, it has its own rights. The Communist Party has less influence in Hong Kong itself because it used to be a British colony. They can do these kind of things without being gunned down. We've seen it in the past, we've seen it in 1989, the terrible massacre in Tiananmen Square in Beijing, where people also went on the street, also a bunch of students, mainly students, and they demonstrated for more democratic values across China. They just got gunned down by the army, right? By their own army. They're called the Liberation Army. They just came, gunned them down, rolled over them with tanks, and said basically, you shut up, you never do this again. If you ever do this again, you just saw what happened. So this really struck so much fear in the people that it literally took more than 25 years for people to stand up again. And again, I think only in Hong Kong. If something like this would happen in any other city around China, either we wouldn't never hear anything about it, because they are very good in like shutting down communication all across the country so that we never find out about it. But Hong Kong still has Twitter, Hong Kong has Facebook, Hong Kong had Instagram, which they shut down now, but they have all these communication platforms that allow them to communicate to the West, to communicate to the rest of the world. And I think this is basically their insurance at the moment. This is why the Chinese government has not gunned them down yet, because the whole world is watching. Amnesty International is watching, the United Nations are watching, and everyone at home on their little screens on the internet are watching the protests. And if the government comes in now and guns them down, that would just shed such a terrible light on them. So I think it's very powerful that everyone is watching on the internet now, and that really protects the guys who are standing in Hong Kong right now, demonstrate for more democratic values. What's really interesting is that quite a few people are talking about, will this protest wave swap over to the mainland, right? Are we going to see protests in Shanghai next? Are we going to see protests in Beijing next? I don't think so, because from what I've seen so far, the Chinese government is doing such an excellent job in preventing the information from Hong Kong to come out. People in mainland China know that there are protests, but they don't know what they are about. So they might have seen a few pictures on the national media like CCTV, the biggest TV station in China. There's nothing on their website. There's nothing about these protests. It's just simply silenced. But, due to social networks, people know there are some protests, but they don't know what they are about. They just see people protesting on the street. So they start these rumors, and you can read it on the internet. People are starting rumors about what these protests are about. One that I've read was, for instance, it's absurd, but people thought that it might be about too many mainland China tourists coming to Hong Kong, because mainland China tourists are not very popular in Hong Kong, so they thought they are on the streets to demonstrate for less mainland China tourists. Can you believe that? To even have a thought like this is crazy. Another guy was speculating that Hong Kong wants to separate completely from mainland China, which is true in a way, but it's not really what this protest is about. So there's a lot of speculation going on in mainland China, and a lot of people are actually on the side of the government because they are very, very good in shaping opinions and shaping their thoughts. And on top of that, you can actually see that the two examples I've just given with too many tourists from mainland China going to Hong Kong and Hong Kong wanting to separate completely from mainland China are both reasons that seem to go against mainland China. So there's very much the attitude of people in mainland China saying, yeah, these stupid Hong Kong people, they think they are something better. They just want to separate from us. So there's a very negative attitude from many people, not everyone obviously, but from many people in mainland China towards these protests. What I really want to say, and what's kind of the main reason for this video, is that I have the utmost greatest respect for these people standing in Hong Kong right now and demonstrate for more democratic elections. Simply because, I mean, you can see it on the title, Occupy Central with Love and Peace, actually is the full title of the movement, which I think is lovely. But it's obviously inspired by the Occupy Wall Street movement, and you know, in Germany there were also several Occupy camps. But you have to realize you can't really compare the two. If you take part in the Occupy Wall Street movement, the worst thing that can happen is that someone comes overnight, takes your pillow away, gives you a punch over the head, throws your tent away and tells you to go home. In China, the government does not play around. They might come in and they shoot you. If you're on this list as being a dissident, as being an enemy of the state in China, they will harm your family, they will threat harm to your mom, to your dad, to anyone that you know. Anyone, if you are on this list, anyone is in danger of being on that list too, anyone that you know. So you can imagine how much guts it takes to take part or even to lead this kind of movement, to put your face out there and say, look, that's my name, that's who I am. The whole movement is actually led by a guy called Joshua Wong. At least that's what's communicated in the Western media. It's a 17-year-old student. I mean, I'm sure there are other leaders, but just to see this guy, this 17-year-old child basically, standing there, being brave enough to go on a stage and take a microphone and say that it is about time that this city gets more democratic elections, is just beyond belief for me. I cannot even express the respect that I have for these guys. It's how much guts you need to have. I mean, you really need to have balls of steel to do something like this. And these are just very normal people who just seem to have no fear. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I would be scared that they, you know, knock my mom's door in and threaten her and turn her life into a nightmare because she didn't do anything wrong. But this guy seems to be just fearless. It's unbelievable. And I just cannot underline enough how much respect I have for people like this. At the moment, the protests are still peaceful and hopefully they stay like this. But with Chinese government, you know, as soon as they see their power being threatened, you never know where it might go, and you never know whether there might be military intervention at some point. I really hope there won't, and I hope, because the world is watching and because they are in Hong Kong with the special rights, it will kind of end up in some kind of negotiation with the government. I can really just hope that. But I just wanted to share my thoughts on this, and I just really wanted to create a little bit more awareness of what's going on in Hong Kong right now, because I think it's incredibly important that as many people as possible know about this, follow it on the internet, create awareness about it, and just basically support these people who are being incredibly brave right now. So thanks guys very much for watching. I would appreciate a like, just simply so more people see this video. I would appreciate if you can share your thoughts in the comment section below. I would really love to hear your thoughts, even if you maybe completely disagree with what I'm saying. You can subscribe to my channel. I normally do more gaming related content, but every now and then I do a video like this. So until next time, I thank you guys very much for watching. Stay tuned and be safe. Bye.